Hey guys, happy Monday. Today is Monday, February 25th, 2019. It is the last week of February. Who could believe it? January lasted forever and February has gone by really fast. I'm with the beautiful Janet Liciaga.
Yes.
Yeah, I did it. Oh my God, I don't know what the problem is. It's terrible. Janet Liciaga is here. It's her first time. Rebecca, what's up? Let us know you can hear us and see us. Francis Garcia, what's going on? Bob Moylan, how are you? Give us a heart, give us a thumbs up. Viviana, see, you got good people coming on. People are coming on. Looking good, thank you. All right, so they can hear us too. So Janet was a little nervous, so give her some love. Marisol, what's up? Hola. And I'm very happy to have you here. We've been struggling with your name, not we, I have been struggling. Liciaga. See, I did it, right? I didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, we changed the title a little bit because once we talked, we realized we have a very similar background in many ways. And I'm like, yeah, that title's probably not so good. So we ixnayed that. The importance of taking care of each other, which is based on a conversation we just had. Mark Johnson, what's up? So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How you feeling? You feeling good?
Feeling
You're looking straight ahead. I like it, right? It's good. Yeah,
get some used to
gotta
it.
get, I gotta get used to talking directly at the camera. So you got hearts coming up. All right, so tell us a little bit about you.
Okay.
Little background.
I'm originally from New York City,
No,
Bronx, South Bronx.
nice.
Yes. My family's all from Puerto Rico. I raised my kids in New Haven, Connecticut for 20 years before I.
How did you get from the Bronx to New Haven?
Okay, being raised in the Bronx is not easy. Going to school and just school is hard.
It's just as hard as it says on TV, trust me.
So having a son, I said I will not raise my children in New York. So Connecticut was the location. It was further north, a little more colder, but school systems and the atmosphere was just great. It gave me a lot of growth opportunities in the field that I was working in.
Well, I want to talk about that, but I have one question. Did your parents or did your family go, what in the world, Marisol, whoop whoop the biggie down Bronx?
Yes, that's it.
She's awesome. Did your family go, why are you moving to New Haven, Connecticut?
Well, I was always a distance. Both my parents are deceased, so I had little family. Yes, I have close to one aunt. She said, yes, are you leaving? But she understood, because raising kids are not easy in New York.
Well, raising kids in general, but in the Bronx, that's one of the boroughs we haven't hit yet. We haven't figured out how to, Brooklyn is now like hoity-toity.
This is
Williamsburg.
how you deal in the Bronx.
Yeah, that's right. You can't make it up, people, I'm telling you. Oh, let's see, Rosemary came on. I told you she would.
Hello.
She said she loves you and you're amazing.
Thank you.
We were hoping you'd pop on, Rosemary. All right, so you raised your kids up there, and then what field were you in? How did you get in? I'm fascinated by what you did because that's my background, is sort of what you did.
Well, I started in Connecticut as an HIV counselor for the health department. I worked with the needle exchange program. Did a lot of education in the prison.
How do you make that leap? How do you do that? Where do you go? You don't obviously wake up or you're 4 years old and go, I want to work for the HIV needle exchange program.
It's funny because I was laid off. I was working for the newspaper company and they laid off people. So I started looking and applying for every job I could find. I don't care if I qualified or not. And one of the ads says compassionate, strong person, overcome struggles, problem solver, whatever. And I applied and I got interviewed. It was part of Yale University, this grant they had.
Wow.
And I got hired as a case manager for children who were HIV positive. I had no clue, no education, but they...
You had the compassion and the passion.
And I'm there for people. I just a people person. They trained me completely from HIV to substance abuse to domestic violence to everything, marriage, counseling, everything.
You've seen the crazy dark side of a lot of things, but you're very positive when you're in person. Was there anything, so obviously changed the trajectory of your life, the direction of your life. So when you first said, all right, I'm going to be an HIV counselor, HIV doesn't have the stigma it used to have. But it certainly still has that thing above it where it's like, wow, what are you getting into, Janet? What are you doing? Was it difficult, especially to work with kids who were HIV positive?
Well, working for the university, that was the most difficult part because you grow so close to the family and always helping them. And I started thinking about these children because they were infants till, the age of until they're deaf. And I started thinking about how am I going to deal with this if they pass. I started dreaming about my kids getting sick, so I had to leave. That's where I left and moved on to the needle exchange program, where I then became an HIV counselor doing pre and post tests.
And so then you eventually moved into, because you have to follow that. Like, if that stress level is making you dream about, there's so many things that if you've never been in human services before, it impacts your life, it changes your life. And so you have to figure out, though, which part of it you want to be part of and which part you can handle. And so you moved to needle exchange, which is still not an easy job. You're still dealing with people who are using, still very controversial, although I think it's gotten a lot better. And then you eventually move into substance abuse. So what was the trajectory for you? Did you go, all right, I've had enough of needle exchange, now I need to try to help people who have drug and alcohol problem?
Well, moving on, it's just been a pattern of you help children, okay, now you want to continue with adults, because I was also working with the parents and children. I went to the adult side and needle exchange program, and I started doing HIV counseling and giving them the empowerment to live, not just to die with that disease, was great. So part of that education piece and also preventing them from getting HIV let me, again, when I was doing HIV testing at the substance abuse program, the director there said, Janet, you got to come with us. You got to come with us.
because the way that you speak, so you know that you're doing really well, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So but you're speaking about your passion. So this is something that's important to you, that you love, that you have a passion for, you're compassionate for people. And so when you're doing that, when you're out engaging with people and you're making a difference in their lives, it's super easy to have a conversation, right? You were so worried about this. But you're able to decide, all right, so these are some of the things that I'm really good at. Because you still have to decide, all right, this is good for me, this isn't good for me. This is good for my life, this isn't. I can still make an impact, but it doesn't have to change my entire lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And that's what you did.
Yes.
All right, so how do you get from working in human services, taking care of people, the importance of taking care of each other, obviously, which is important to you, and how do you make the next career move?
Real estate.
Real estate. So, it is a big leap, right?
Yes,
not that taking care of people isn't the same theme, it's just at a completely different level. So how did you must have at some point said, all right, I've had my fill, I'm at my burnout level, I'm assuming, because that's what most people do in any kind of human services job. They get to that point where it's like, okay, I can't do it anymore. What was your turning point? What made you move?
Well, I worked 2 years from home remotely, and it was either a choice, find something that I'm compassionate about, or go back to the substance abuse field, which is, I had my passion too. And I had tried to get my real estate license while I was in Connecticut, and because I failed the test twice by 1 point, the second time by 2 points, I said, you know what, that's it. I'm not doing this, they want my money. So I said, let me do it again. That's my passion. I can be my own boss. I can, work as much or as little as I need to, and I went for my real estate license in Florida. So I passed it on my third one, which makes me think maybe I should have been start this on my third one.
But how do you get into real estate from that? Like, how do you go from substance abuse, HIV needle exchange, working in that industry, to going, all right, I want to sell homes, or I want to, there's definitely something that motivates you or that makes you think that that's a better life for you.
Well, I see it as the same field. It's similar, not that much, because in substance abuse, you helping people, you educating them, you dealing with a lot of behaviors, anxiety, fears.
What? You mean the real estate transaction is fearful and anxiety driven?
Oh no, it's the same. So, but in the substance abuse, you struggle so much to make them bring that happiness into their world. And they just keep on with old behaviors. There are some, yes, that they were successful and being happy and obtaining their goals. But in the real estate, you constantly make people happy and you overcome and help them with their fears. So many times I calm my buyers down, like, don't worry about this is okay. They get upset with lenders when they have to require
lenders. I don't know what you're talking about.
And documents, but you reassure them this is okay,
right.
You know. But at the end of that tunnel, you're gonna have a beautiful home that you're happy with. So it's almost the same, but you get more success in real estate than in substance abuse.
Well, and I think that it's much more likely that you're going to have a happy outcome in real estate. But I still think it's interesting. I think there are people, like when I made my leap from human services, that's what my master's degree is in, to sales, which is sort of what we're in. Sales, okay. People, love people, compassion, passionate. It doesn't mean that I knew that I was going to be good at sales at that moment. I just knew that I wanted to not continue to do what I was doing in the way that I was doing it. Is that where you were at, or did you go, all right, I still love being a counselor, I love being in substance abuse, I love it, or but I'm still going to try this, or did you just go, I got to make a leap, I got to get out of it?
No, I dragged through that process.
All right, so you dragged through it. Describe the dragging through.
Okay, I was working full-time with substance abuse fields and real estate, so I was working a lot until I noticed that I was burning myself out. I was waking up 4:30 in the morning and doing one job until 2, and then going from 2 to 8 or 9 or 10, whatever, with real estate, that I started feeling my burnout, and I said, wait a minute, I gotta make that change. And I really started real estate, and I want to continue it. I know I can grow. If I'm a hard worker and 2 jobs together, I can do it in one. But again, that fear kept me to stay part-time instead of full-time in substance abuse. So I'm still working part-time, but slowly cutting my hours down, because I found a position that I can work as many hours or as little hours as I can, or as I choose to. So I've been slowly getting out of that. So it's overcoming that fear of, working on commission base.
That's hard. Right, because even though it's not a great pay amount, and Vic, I'm going to ask her that question in just a minute. Even though it's not a great pay amount, it's still a regular paycheck.
Yes, exactly.
And that was the difficult thing for me too. I'm like, well, I had health benefits. I had a regular paycheck, even though it was pennies on the dollar, but it was still regular, something I could depend on. When you go straight commission in any field, whether it's real estate, insurance, mortgage, it doesn't matter what it is, you're still taking this leap. And if you're not used to that and don't have that ability to save and figure out how to budget, it's a giant challenge. So Vic asked a question. I didn't see the second part, Vic, but the first part said, how do you overcome, and I get asked this a lot, how do you overcome people's, I guess it's their expectation or it's their interpretation that realtors, it could be realtors, it could be insurance people, it could be mortgage people, are kind of like used car salesmen. Nothing against my used car people. But how do you get past that when you're in a room and people are like, oh my God, you're a realtor. Please don't try to sell me anything. Are you dealing with that? Do you see that in this day and age? Or is it become a different world?
Well, I don't see that because when I come into conversation with people, I don't initially introduce myself as a realtor.
Wait, you're not throwing your business card at people? I hate that, by the way. Pet
Yes.
peeve number one.
Yes.
Don't throw your
don't
business
do
card
that.
at people. No, because you're trying to develop a relationship. And I think, Vic, what I would say is that I feel like the industry as a whole is trying to get away from that perception is the word I'm looking for, where all we want to do is throw a card at you and try to figure out if your mother, brother, sister, grandmother, aunt, cousin, anybody who's breathing that you know wants to sell or buy a home. And in reality, what I think realtors are learning is that the relationship is the key.
You know how I get by and throwing my card in?
Tell me. Give us a secret. Give us a secret.
I use definitely the magnet on my car. And second of all, I don't live in a community where there's association, so I bought a sign, with the spigots, and I put your neighborhood realtor, and I gotten so many leads just by that sign because they think that my house is for sale, so they call me up and I said, are you working with a realtor?
Nice.
No, my house is not for sale, and I've shown them houses and...
So I like how you said neighborhood.
Yes.
No R's in New York. I make fun of my team who are from Staten Island, Brooklyn, and all that. There's no R's in New York. Neighborhood. But I think that's a great question because I think people, when you go to a networking event or you go to any event or even if it's a family event and somebody says, what do you do? If you say you're an insurance guy, I don't know, a car salesman, a mortgage guy, a realtor, or an attorney, people want to run screaming. And I think it's unfortunate because there's just a few people, especially now, who have given us that kind of reputation. One of the things I teach when I teach social media and I teach networking is please, for the love of God, don't ever give your business card out until you're asked for it, and you need to ask other people for your business card first. And if they don't ask for yours, don't worry about it. You have their contact information. Don't throw your business card at them. It's so embarrassing to watch somebody go to a networking event and immediately hand me their business card. That's when I cut you out and I don't want to deal with you anymore. So what do you think the market's like? How are you adjusting? Since you've still got the part-time, right? You still got the part-time job. You still got your toe in your past life. And now you're trying to build this other life. Are you finding that the market is a good market? Have you had any inkling on what you think is going to happen coming up?
I can't foretell the future, and I tell my buyers that let's not look at the future, let's look at it now.
I set you up for that. That's good.
But the market for me is good. I got
feels
6
strong.
contracts on.
See? All right, you guys have to stop listening to the news.
So, no, it's doing well. I have buyers that are ready to move forward for March and April, so I'm staying busy.
And I think that, so what a lot of people, because they hear the stuff, they read the news, they hear whatever's on Google News or wherever you get your news, and they're looking at it going, oh my God, the market's tanking. Even though interest rates are still historically low, and the market itself, I think a lot of it has to do with what you're looking for. So if you're looking for the $80,000 house, maybe that's not necessarily the best market, but that doesn't mean that you can't find a professional to help you, especially with the challenge that we have right now in Orlando with all of the rental markets. I mean, it's insane how much people are paying for rent.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. And the fact that you pretty much have to get more qualified to go rent an apartment than you do a mortgage, I mean, it's really a challenge right now. And so people are paying $2,500 for 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And I'm like, all right, do you want to have it? What if you just wanted a little bit of a yard? You could pay a whole bunch less than that. But I think that the fact that the news out there kind of paints it as if we don't, Ken Williams, what's up? As if we don't have a good market, don't listen to the news. I'm sorry. I love my news friends. Do your own research and figure it out. So what do you want to do long term? Obviously you want to get past, as I know there's a lot of people, it's not just in real estate and what you do, it's a lot of people are working 2 jobs, maybe a job and a part-time job. What is it that you want to accomplish? What do you want to do, and how quickly do you want to do it? Do you eventually want to move full-time into real estate, or are you always going to keep a big toe in human services?
No, I want to get completely out of the human services field. Want to focus just on real estate. I see my husband's business is growing, so that gives me that reassurance that yes, I can do this. Just in case my struggles, I'm looking into buying investment homes, starting small, and then use that as an income and move on.
I love it. And you don't want to move back to Connecticut.
Oh, no way. It's too cold. I'm scared.
It's way too cold. All right, so we're going to share, see how fast it goes?
Yes.
Yeah, feel good?
Yes.
All right, so she was so nervous. So we're going to share all of Janet's contact information, how you can reach out to her, how you can get like an idea of what she went through and is continuing to go through as she's maneuvering through and kind of posturing through and getting to where she wants to be, which is full-time in real estate. And she's obviously overcome a lot of challenges and obstacles, and now she's here. Look at this. So any parting words of wisdom for them? The real estate world needs for Janet to go full-time. I agree, Ken Williams. Totally agree.
See the confidence?
See, lots of
That's
confidence. That's your team. That team is amazing. That support
is
is critical. So as you're making your decisions to get into whatever field, whether it be real estate or whatever it is, you have to make sure you find the right team, the right environment, the right people. I've experienced that on the mortgage side. I've had so many bad places I almost got out of the mortgage side. And I can tell you that being with the home team at Freedom Mortgage has just been a life changer for me because of the environment, because of the people. The products are all the same, but the people and the way that they do business is so critical. And I know that you have that with your team.
Yes,
all right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share with them before we head out?
Well, have faith, confidence, and watch for the burnout part, but also reach out. And if I can help and answer any questions, I'm here, available. Thank you.
See? How'd it go? You feel good?
Great.
You feel better?
Yes.
All right, so this is the great thing. So having you on has been a joy. I love it when somebody can come on and talk about something that that they're showing where they've been and where they're headed toward, but maybe they're not 100% there yet, because I think all of us are struggling in one way, shape, or form to get to where we want to be, and so we each are at a different level. And so Ken says Janet brings her passion along with her experience. That's right. So you want to very much know that you're not by yourself in whatever you're going through, and so you've got people you could reach out to, like Janet, like me, like any guest that we have on the show. We want you to know you're not all alone, that you're not going through it by yourself, and that there are ways to get to where you want to go. It might take a little longer than you thought, but we still know that we know that there's support here to help you out. So you've been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to share all of Janet's contact information. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
One show left. Dr. Luis Vera. Luis? I don't know. I'm going to probably mispronounce your name too today, Luis. But you've been a joy. Thank you guys.
You.
We love
Bye.
you. Bye.